What's going on, guys? The Comics Kid 2099 here. Welcome to day 151 of the 365-day graphic novel review challenge. Today, I want to talk to you about Five Ghosts: The Haunting of Fabian Gray by Frank Barbary and Chris Mooneyham. This is the first 5 issues of what I believe is an ongoing series. If it's not an ongoing series, then it's a series of minis that are all connected to each other. But the premise of this is, imagine if Indiana Jones had the natural talents and abilities of 5 fictional characters at his disposal to use against people and also use in his quest to hunt for treasure. That's basically the premise here. This guy, Fabian Gray, he is a treasure hunter in the 1930s, and then he has the natural talents and abilities of these 5 fictional characters right here. I don't know if you can see those very well. You've got Dracula, Sherlock Holmes, Merlin, Robin Hood, and I have no idea who this samurai character is on the bottom. But he has the abilities of all of these guys, and you would think that sounds really cool, and that would be really handy for a treasure hunter to have those powers. And it does come in handy several times in this book, but this series plays it more as a curse than an actual benefit. And we find out that Fabian Gray has got a very tragic backstory, and that he's kind of working to atone for his sins throughout this book, and he's not just using these powers to go and hunt for gold or something like that. He's actually got a higher purpose in mind throughout this book. We also find out that there is a very interesting origin story for these abilities and why he has these powers. And we find out that there are other people who know more about these abilities than he does. Some of them are good people, some of them are very much not good people. You would believe that the Nazis would actually be the big villain of this book, and they do show up a little bit here, since this is set in, I think, 1934, I believe is when it's set. You would think that the Nazis would be the ultimate big bad of this, but I'm not sure if they are. We do have some mysterious, sinister guys meeting together at one point in this book, talking about, okay, we finally know where Fabian Gray is, and I don't know if they are Nazis. At one point, one person in that group, he is wearing a uniform, and he is a Nazi, but I don't know if he is working toward the ultimate goal of the Nazis, or if he just happens to be a Nazi, and he's working with these other guys, and they're not Nazis. 2 of them, I'm pretty sure, aren't. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I really like this book. I really love the artwork. Mooneyham actually graduated from the Joe Kubert School, and that's very apt because his style looks a lot like Joe Kubert's style, especially like the pinup pages and the covers and stuff. They very much look like Joe Kubert's style, and I like that. I like Kubert's style, and I like what this guy is doing. It feels very much like Joe Kubert just stepped into the 21st century, and I really love what this guy is doing. I really love the story here. It's more or less set up for the rest of the series. Basically, we are introducing the premise of this series. We're introducing this guy's powers and how they work. By the end of this book, they seem to work a lot more in his favor. It's not so much a curse anymore, although there's still some downs to having these abilities, but it's much more working in his favor than it was throughout the rest of this book. So I'm assuming that if we do get a volume 2, that it will just kind of jump right into the actual story with these bad guys who are trying to find and capture Fabian Gray, whereas this was a little bit more setting everything up. But I didn't mind that it was setting everything up. I think that this premise is just heady enough that it does need a little bit of setup, so it didn't bother me that all of this was basically just setting up the stage for everything else that's going to follow. There was some stuff that I thought was a little bit silly. For example, every time Fabian Gray uses the Sherlock Holmes power, it's something really obvious and common sense that it wouldn't take the brilliance of Sherlock Holmes to figure that out. Like at one point he's fighting this bad guy, and then his Sherlock Holmes power turns on, and he's thinking, hey, I could use that stalactite over there to stab this bad guy in the chest. Well, duh. You know, you could do that. I could have told you that, and you wouldn't have even needed your Sherlock Holmes abilities for that. But other than that, I really like this book. I think it's a very unique premise. I don't think I've seen this kind of premise anywhere else before. It's got some really interesting mythology stuff where it talks about the human consciousness and how all cultures kind of share this human consciousness, and that's why all these different stories from different cultures have so many similarities. That's all really fascinating to me, and this book uses that in its mythology for this world. I really recommend that you guys check out Five Ghosts: The Haunting of Fabian Gray. I hope that you guys liked this video, and if you did, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will be back tomorrow with a different video. In the meantime, you guys have a great rest of the day. Catch you later.